So I'm going to go out there and say 2020 sucked for everybody, but one thing that didn't happen in 2020 made it feel like time really stood still. X Games didn't happen, well, at least the full competition bit, when all the best riders in the world meet up, do their best runs, and see who's going to be the X Games gold medalist for the year. But here we are in 2021, nearly 2 years since the last X Games competition, and we are back. X Games just announced that they are going to be doing a skate, FMX, and BMX event, and I'm proud to say that I'm going to be doing the commentary once again for BMX. But this year's X Games is going to be completely different than the previous X Games. And in this video, I'm going to get you guys all caught up on what to expect for BMX this year. So let's get started. For starters, this year's BMX is going to see 5 different competitions. There's going to be park, there's going to be Dave Mirra's best trick, there's going to be dirt, there's going to be dirt best trick, and then there's going to be street. The biggest difference of this year's X Games is going to be the locations. It's going to be back in Southern California, but it's at a place they've never been to before. The dirt and the park location is going to be at a familiar place for a lot of you guys that follow BMX. It's going to be at Pat Casey's Dream Yard. This is where he filmed his viral Monster Energy series called Dream Yard. He has an awesome skate park in the backyard, but he also has an amazing dirt jump setup. And straight away, I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking, wait, is Pat Casey riding in this event? Yes, he is. He's going to be in all 4 events that are going to be located at his house. But before you guys jump to any conclusions, let me explain to you that Pat Casey doesn't have an unfair advantage to the rest of the guys. And I'll tell you guys this through my experience. I had my skate park for 18 years, and they once had a competition at my skate park that I didn't want to ride because I thought I would have an unfair advantage. When I saw the guys start riding the event, I was mind blown because they were riding it so much differently than I ever rode it before. They came up with lines that I never even seen happen in my skate park, and I rode there every single day. And the reason why that happens is because the level of BMX right now is just so high up, and each individual rider has their own approach to where they're riding a competition or riding a course. So there's going to be riders that naturally turn to the right and riders that naturally turn to the left. So that's going to open up different lines straight away. But the tricks that these riders do, the different styles, especially the group of riders that's showing up to the park competition, that's going to be the biggest difference here. So Pat Casey does not have an unfair advantage, and especially when it comes to the dirt, because X Games and Pat both teamed up to completely rebuild his backyard dirt jump. So it's going to be a completely fresh setup for him, but Pat is going to be overseeing the build. So they are going to be Pat's style of jumps. They're going to be big, steep, and crazy. But the guys that are coming to ride this year for both dirt and park are going to bring it. So I'm going to quickly go over the rider list. So we're going to start off with dirt, and there's going to be 9 riders competing. The first rider is Australian double flip master Andy Buckworth. And then we're going to have Pat Casey, the Dream Yard CEO himself. Next, we have the X Games Mega Ramp gold medalist, James Foster. Then we have the Decade Variation Master, Jake Leva. Next, we have another returning gold medalist in Kevin Peraza. Then we have another Australian rider, the Nothing Front Bike Flip and Wild Man, Jay Tui. Which leads us to the cash roll and X Games newcomer, Bryce Tryon. Then we have another returning gold medalist, Mr. Colton Walker. And last but not least, a staple in British BMX, Ben Wallace. And I think that the rider list is going to fit perfectly for the rebuild of Pat's dirt jumps because it's a very technical rebuild. On the first half of the build, it has some trail style with hips, and on the last rider, where there's some big hits for banger tricks. So now we're going to go over the dirt best trick list, and I'm going to go out there and say it, that this could be the event of X Games. There could be tricks that we've never seen before happen in this competition. So here's the rider list. Now every rider on this list but one is actually in the dirt competition. It's Andy Buckworth, Pat Casey, Jake Leva, Jay Tui, Bryce Tryon, Colton Walker, Ben Wallace, and Ryan Williams. Yes, you guys are seeing that right. The man, the myth, the legend, the guy that has made the impossible possible in BMX is actually riding this best trick competition, and I am so excited to see what he comes up with. I don't know what he's going to do, but I can guarantee you he's going to bring his A game, and you guys are not going to want to miss out on this. So now we're going to move on to the rider list for BMX Park. But before we get started, I just want to go out there and say that this year's X Games could be the craziest level of riding to date. And the reason why is because X Games over the years has gone to a concrete bowl style setup. And to be honest with you, that wasn't a move that I was happy about. Even though I did get medals in riding the concrete setup, I preferred to ride the old school style, big ramp, crazy gap setup that X Games is known for over the years. And this year, we finally get that back. They get to ride the Dream Yard. This is Pat Casey's work of art, his skate park that is absolutely insane. There is a huge box jump, there's a massive spine, there's big quarter pipes, he has the box jump line that goes around the outside of his setup. The riders on this list are finally going to be able to spread their wings and ride to their potential. So let's check out the list. The first rider on the list is Pat Casey. The second rider on the list is the bowl champion Larry Edgar. The third rider is Dennis Anderson, who is known as one of the greatest riders ever in BMX. Then we have the newcomer, Jeremy Malott, who is an absolute trick machine. We have another returning gold medalist in Kevin Peraza. And then we have another newcomer in Marin Rantis, who you guys met in my video last month at Woodward. Next we have another returning gold medalist in Daniel Sandoval, who is on a tear lately. Then the very talented Canadian rider Mike Varga. And last but not least, Ben Wallace from England. And then on the park course, we have Dave Mears' best trick, which is always my favorite event at X Games. We see tricks that we've never seen before, and this year's competition with the course setup is going to be mind-blowing. So let me show you guys a rider list. The first rider on the list is Jacob Bailey, and a lot of you guys might recognize his name because he is the first rider that did the one-handed forward bike flip 360. And then we have his best friend Pat Casey, and if he rides anything like he does in the Dream Yard, we are going to see some crazy stuff. We're going to see Jeremy Malott, Marin Rantis, Daniel Sandoval, Jay Tui, Mike Varga, and once again, we're going to see Ryan Williams get into the best trick competition. And I'm so curious to see what he's going to come up with in Pat Casey's backyard. Is it going to be a crazy box jump trick? I don't know. Or it could be some kind of crazy drop-in front flip, back flip thing that we've never even seen before. So this is going to be an event that you cannot miss. And that leaves us for the last event here at X Games, and it's going to be at a completely different location. This is going to be BMX Street, and this year it's going to be at the California Training Facility. And this is where the Team USA Olympic skateboarders have practiced getting ready for this year's Olympics. And looking at the pictures of the course and the riders list, this is going to be an epic one. So let me show you guys the rider list. The first rider is Alex Donachie. He ended up winning back in Sydney in 2018. And then we have one of the best riders to ever do it in BMX, Dennis Anderson. Next up, we have another returning gold medalist in Chad Curley, and after him is going to be the very talented Australian rider, Lewis Mills. Now, the next rider might be a surprise for a lot of you guys, but Kevin Peraza is going to be riding street this year, which I'm so excited about, but I'm very curious to see how his style of riding translates on this course. We have the returning silver medalist, the German rider, Felix Prengenberg. Then we have the 2019 silver medalist, very talented rider, Matt Ray. And of course, the last rider to go is going to be none other than Mr. Garrett Reynolds, who in my eyes is the most talented BMX rider to ever touch a bike. I'm so excited to see how this competition goes down, because I think it's going to be non-stop bangers, especially from this group of riders. Every one of them has gotten silver medal before in street, except for Kevin Peraza. But let me remind you, this guy has gold medals in both dirt and park. So can he do it in street? We're going to find out. But I am so excited to be part of this year's X Games, and I'm so grateful for X Games for keeping it going. Since 1995, they've been the pinnacle of action sports competitions, and they continue to give riders and skaters an opportunity to live their dreams, giving these riders a platform to become icons in their sport. So like I said earlier, this year's X Games is going to be different than the other X Games, but I think it's going to be in a positive way. The courses are going to allow these riders to ride at such a high level that I think this is going to be the best riding we've seen at the X Games this year. So let me give you guys a quick rundown of the schedule of how you guys can tune in and watch. The events actually start on Wednesday, and that's going to be all the park competitions and the dirt competitions. And leading up to this week, if you guys follow me on Instagram, I will put up a bunch of posts showing you guys when exactly the events are going on so you don't miss it. So guys, that's going to be it for this one. I hope you're all just as excited as I am. I'm going to be heading to California today to get ready for the event this week. So remember to support the X Games and the riders that are competing. Let's all tune in and try to make this the biggest and best X Games to date. So guys, until next time, remember to subscribe to the channel, remember to like this video, and peace. Thank you to everyone for supporting my brand, Can't Slow Down. If you want to get involved, you can go to can'tslowdown.com or go to the link in the description of the video.